Jeff, my Giants fan friend, as I bring on Keith Pompey to start the show. This is the 4-year anniversary of the Philadelphia Eagles winning the Super Bowl. So I did watch that back today. You two Giants fans don't care. But I'm just letting you know as we start the interview. Keith Pompey, you're traveling someplace in Dallas. Are you ready, waiting for a basketball game this evening?
Yeah, I hope so. But can I say something?
Oh, God.
I've never heard someone say a 4-year anniversary. Like, normally it's like 5-year, 10-year.
Well, we haven't hit 5 years yet. We haven't hit 5 years yet, so it's
dude,
okay.
It sounds like, but, it just seems like
Keith,
you're not looking, you're not going to win another one or something. Maybe when you say 4-year anniversary, like, hey, you don't even say that for, like, when you're married. Hey, babe, we've been married 4 years today.
with my wife, I was just happy she kept me around for week 2. So, I get it. But no, look, until we get to 5 years, I never had a title that I could celebrate like that. So, yeah, I'm going to recognize this stuff. And I watch your Facebook feed. You think the whole division is trash anyway. So don't get on me about celebrating my team. Go back to hating on Jeff's Michigan team. So.
Hey, he actually started the show without saying anything. It's not your
only because of how
responsibility to raise
I
it.
started the interview that he didn't start with Michigan. Keith, I know you were going to come on and talk some Michigan, right? Because you got takes on Jim Harbaugh and him interviewing, right?
I was going to leave him alone today.
No, you weren't.
He was just starting. Only playing.
Well, look, there's really no point in like trying to hit me hard on this because I'm the first person to say that right now he looks like a sniveling little baby who's run back home because nobody would give him a job. It's the only reason he's back.
Keith, your analysis as a newsman on Jeff's take.
All I know is that he needs to do a better job because Alabama is past them. I mean, well, they've been by them. I think Michigan State is a better job right about now.
Hey,
who knows?
Hey,
that hit below the belt.
Hey, all right. Can we talk basketball? If you're going to start saying Michigan State's a better program, you have no credibility.
All right, so we're okay. We'll get to the basketball court. At the moment, the Sixers are 31-20 in third place in the East, a game behind the first place Bulls. This team's rattled off 15 of their last 19 games and wins. They've had winning streaks. Then they have a great win on Monday against Memphis and follow it up with a clunker against the Wizards. What is this team, Keith?
I mean, this is weird because, I know everybody keeps, we all keep talking about the big picture, like, okay, they rattled off like 15 of 19, right? That does sound impressive. But when you look at the teams that they defeated, they probably beat a lot of bad teams, and they struggled in a lot of those wins. I mean, Joel Embiid had to score 30 plus for them to beat teams by 5 points in a lot of those occasions, right? The biggest takeaway I had is how they lost their last game to the Washington Wizards, and it's like you come off a huge emotional win at Memphis, and then you lose to the Wizards. And then it goes back to a couple weeks ago where you have 2 impressive victories against the Boston Celtics and the second-place Miami Heat, and you go to D.C. and you lose to the Wizards. To me, the Sixers, even though they have been winning these games, we pinpoint these losses, but it just seems like they're a team that plays to the level of their opponent. And sometimes, most of the times they'll win these games. But to me, the big takeaway is like you're playing to the level of your opponent. Like you beat Sacramento, but it comes down to the buzzer, right?
Right.
You pull away from the Pelicans. You do all these other things. So to me, like I don't know if it's a motivational a motivational problem or whatever it is, or they smell themselves, but it just seems that, yes, they are a game out of first place, but they need to correct some things if they expect to go far in the playoffs.
Yeah, and to me, that's the most frustrating part of what I saw. I mean, earlier this week, they beat a really exciting, young, good team in Memphis and did so without Embiid. Maxey played out of his mind. I mean, to me, it was one of the most memorable games I've been to for lots of reasons. But then they somehow follow that up with losing to the Wizards, who don't have Bradley Beal. They were, I think, 10.5-point favorites at the time. What does Doc Rivers do to make sure that they don't do what you're saying, which is play to the level of their competition?
Keith's not allowed to ask about that. Doc gets cranky. Sorry, Keith. I said that, not you.
Nah, it's fine.
Doc says he asked good questions.
It's a good question.
Right.
It is the question.
It's a good question, and unfortunately, it seems like it's the question that no one can answer right now, and that's the problem. You know what I mean? And I'm not saying that's a knock against him, but the fact that, you know, you would think, I mean, the fact that this keeps occurring is a problem. Now, a lot of it is, you know, let's be honest. Joel Embiid, yes, he had 27 points, right? 27 points. You know, he had a pretty good stat line until you look at his shooting. He shot, I believe, 10 for 27, maybe 11 for 27. I'm giving him a shot or taking one or whatever. So he didn't really shoot the ball very well offensively. With that being said, they couldn't win. So when he plays, and if he's not playing at an extremely high level, they lose. And so that's the problem. They just need it. Now, again, when he doesn't play, it just seems like the ball is moving, everybody's stepping up. Now, in that one game that they had against Memphis, you know, Danny Green was on fire. Tobias Harris looked like Tobias Harris of last year. Maxey is looking like this guy that'll be foolish to trade. You know, guys off the bench. Like, everyone produced. They all stepped up. It was like, you know, everyone had a great game. This team has to be able to win when that doesn't happen, when everyone doesn't step up. Like, and then when with the thing with Embiid, it's like somebody has to be able to say, okay, I know you're struggling, big fella. Let me do it. Let me do it today. And it just seems like that's the problem. When you look at their losses, typically there are games where he doesn't score 30 and he may have a poor shooting night.
So you mentioned Maxey, and you know I've been trying to drive that Maxey mobile all season. Jeff thinks I'm a little bit overboard on where I go with that one.
The Maxey mobile?
Damn right, I'm coming up with nicknames here. So tell me what you're seeing out of him from his development. Should he send Ben Simmons a fruit basket for giving him full time to play? And is he reaching a point where he's untouchable in a trade?
I think he should be untouchable in the trade. I mean, and the only reason why I'm saying that is because, you know, like, okay, let's depend on who's you're trading, right? Like, if you can go out there and get Dame Lillard, right?
That's a different story.
I think he's untouchable. Yeah, I think he's untouchable. But like if you can go get Dame Lillard, I think he's touchable, right?
Right.
If you can't get Dame, I think he's untouchable. You know what I mean? I just do, because I would hate for him to go elsewhere and then develop. Now, the thing about Dame, if you're getting Dame, you're basically telling me you're going all in and you're going to win a championship, and you have that season. And if you don't do that, then you're telling me that Maxey is the guy that's going to be able to bring you a championship this season. You know what I mean? So that's the question. But if it's Dame Lillard, I think that I would trade him. I'm sorry. But if it was somebody else, like, I'm not sure that I would trade him for James Harden. I'm sorry. I'm not sure about that. I don't see that, you know, because this guy is he gets up and down, he runs, he does a lot of other things. Yes, he needs to work on, being a better distributor in regards to a point guard, but he's showing strides in that direction. But, I just look at James and James could be, everybody says he's going to be a great fit, but I don't think he's a good fit as far as like Dame Lillard would be. So outside of Dame, I say he's untouchable.
All right, so let's talk about the guy who is touchable but apparently not tradable.
Well done. Yeah,
so we're what, 6 days away, less than a week away from the NBA trade deadline, and it doesn't seem that the Sixers have much of a of anything in the way of partners who want to accommodate them. What is going to happen if you had to predict at the deadline? And if it doesn't happen, how do you think the city's going to react? Will people believe it if Daryl Morey comes out and says, look, there just really wasn't any deals, or is he just going to get blamed for it?
It depends. I think that at this particular time, a lot of people are looking at it like thinking, you got half of the people saying, save it for Harden, Dame, and you got other ones saying, let's just make something to make this team a little better. I think that one will be, you won't see how much, he won't get blamed until the free agency period comes and he can't get the guy that he wants. That's when he's going to that's when he will have a problem, if he can't do that. Outside of that, you got certain people believing don't trade him for a B-level player, for a role player. We need some stars. And if he can get that star, then everyone's going to be, okay, I see what you did, or half the fan base. But if that doesn't happen, I think that's when people are like, hey, what's going on, man? You kept pushing the deadline back, and we don't have anything, All
right, Keith, be honest. You're a serious newsman. You have developed a career. Did you ever picture yourself when you started having to write about a star NBA player sending Twitter direct messages to an all-star NBA player because he's unhappy with the critiques on television?
You know what? I'm not surprised by that because, and this is the reason why I'm not surprised by that. I remember Ben's first season playing, and we were in L.A. The team was we were in L.A., and I was there, and Shaq was there. And I remember before the game, Shaq walks up to Ben, and they just start talking, holding a conversation. I think they, it was that LSU type of thing. And I feel like Ben, probably said, look, man, dude, you're throwing me under the bus and you don't know what's going on, right? Now, Shaq is saying that Ben doesn't have his phone number, right? So I think that if they follow each other on Twitter, that's the best way to reach out to the guy, right? So I'm really not, I know it makes for a great story and people could clown Ben, but if he doesn't have his number, how else is he going to get in contact with him?
Oh,
I care less about him having the number and more, look, Keith, I worked in public relations trying to spin newspaper people for 20 years. The idea that his team thinks that the way that they're playing this story works is not flying with me. And the thought that you're going to take on the critiques of an NBA All-Star who has a platform. They used to say, don't pick a fight with people by ink by the barrel. Ben's got no outlet right now other than going to reporters and leaking stuff. And when he does it from a position of weakness. What's his outlet?
Agree. I don't agree with that one.
What's his outlet?
You know what? I don't agree with that. See, because here's my thing. A lot of times a reporter will bust their tail to get something that somebody else doesn't get, right? And it's based off of relationships you have with agents and clients and stuff like that. And then when they get it, a lot of people think, oh, man, they leaked it. They leaked it. They leaked it. You know what I mean? Now, there could be some truth to it at times, but also we got to understand, the person did bust their tail to get that. You know what I mean?
Oh, I'm not critiquing the reporter who got it, by the way. From his team's perspective, I don't understand what they're doing. I just don't see why they think that the way that he's being portrayed, either real or perceived by the public, is effective in any way to him getting out of the city of Philadelphia and playing basketball again.
Yeah, I get it. You know what I mean? I think that's another one, I get what you're saying, but excuse my not to say, Jeff, but they better be lawyered up. If they're lawyered up the right way, I think it's all going to work out. And what I mean by that is in regards to getting the money and all this other stuff, because see, that's what they're banking on. They're banking on that the fact that he's saying he has mental health issues is that the NBA is going to give him the 30 whatever $1 million he's losing. So that's what they're banking on. But my thing is, see, this is where the 76ers went wrong. I mean, not the 76ers, Ben Simmons and this camp went wrong. It's initially, in the beginning, when a guy wants to get traded, they typically show up early. They don't hold out. They show up, and all of a sudden they just create a whole bunch of problems. You know, they say stuff to the media. They start talking badly about people to a point where it's like a civil war happening in the locker room that you got to get that person out of there, right? I think the fact that where he held out and then he came back and he tried to do it, that kind of like messed it up a little bit, because then everyone starts saying you're just coming back for the money. And every time something happens, like, you know, you're leaking it, you're doing this and that. So I think like their tactic was bad, right?
Well, hold
like,
on.
Either you're going to play.
Hold on. He did come back just for the money. That's the only reason he came back. He didn't.
He's saying he could have showed up.
No. He could have showed up. He did show up, but that proved that all he wanted was the money. He's made it quite clear he does not want to play for the Sixers. So all of a sudden, everything's going to go okay once he gets there. There's one other thing. I just wanted to backtrack for a second. You said that with regard to what was he going to do if he didn't have his phone number? I'm pretty sure Rich Paul has Shaq's phone number. I am pretty darn sure that if Ben Simmons went to Rich Paul and said, "Hey, can you do me a favor? I want to reach out to Shaq. You mind getting me his number?" He could have done that instead of direct messaging him.
Yeah, but look, all I'm saying is, I get what you guys are saying, but you know, I don't really have a problem with it. I mean, when a guy, like, if someone says something and you want to reach them, and you reach them and you do stuff like that. I mean, I don't, you know, maybe it's because, not saying I'm a guy sliding up in people's DMs and stuff like that, but if someone says
but
something,
if you want to do it,
like,
if you want to do it to Keith, feel free.
So, you know what I mean? So I don't know. You know, it's like to a point right now that, you know, this is one reason why this trade should have happened months ago, right? Because of the parody that's happening. Like, it just seems like, you know, each week someone's making fun of it. You know what I mean? And like, you know, Shaq put him on blast. Before that, someone else did. You know what I mean? It's just it's just bad. I mean, it's just going to continue to happen until he's traded. I mean, it is. It's just going to continue to happen.
All right. So at this point, the problem is that Ben keeps doing these things. It's not making the situation better. Is there any? I know you say that probably the most likely thing to do is wait till this summer. Is there anything that you think could happen before that? And then my second question is, if it doesn't happen before that, how is the Sixers going to avoid allegations of tampering with all that's come out? What's the likelihood that somebody is going to wait for a deal for a superstar that doesn't just require getting him as a free agent, but it's going to require all sorts of machinations to get him? How is it likely that there wasn't something that we would all refer to as tampering?
They have to get somebody else, right? Like, only how people are going to say it's not tampering is if they go out and get Bradley Beal. You know what I mean? Like, that's the only way, only how people are going to say that. You know, right now, the fact is, I hate to say it, once you hear reports of the NBA, like, investigating something, thinking it's tampering, well, to see if it's tampering, well, then a lot of people think it's tampering. And a lot of teams around the league believe it's tampering. You know, like teams that are trying to trade for him. You know, they're like, man, we're hearing he's going to Brooklyn. He's going to Brooklyn. You know, so I think they would have to go somewhere else. If not, all people are going to say is the Sixers tampered, regardless of what they say.
No doubt. No matter what they do, that allegation is going to be thrown out there. I did want to ask you before we kind of let you go. I know you're going to have to do stuff for the game out there tonight. I wanted to ask you about the coaching situation. What we've seen in the NFL this week with the firing of Mike Flores, the allegations that Coach Flores has, and then how that compares to the NBA, which seems to have had a huge increase in just the last year or two in the number of black coaches that they have.
Yeah, I'm gonna be honest with you. Like the whole Brian Flores thing, like really beats me up. I mean, and Jeff could attest to this. Jeff didn't slide up in my DM. He just texted me. So,
and until
like,
he blocks me, and then I'll have to slide up in his DM.
so what happened is he texted me once, and he said, "Look, I can't believe that the Giants are announcing who the guys that they're hiring." And this was like, because they were literally sending out stuff to fans and media members, say, "Oh, we interviewed this general manager today. We're in this coach." And from that point on, and Jeff, correct me if I'm not lying, I said, to me, what they're basically doing is they already know who they're going to hire, but they're trying to make it seem like they're going out and interviewing minority candidates, like checking all the boxes. But they know what they're doing.
Well,
and
I will be the source to Jason to say that I can confirm that story because you were clear about it. You said exactly what was going on, and it's what Brian Flores is saying happened.
Yeah, and it was like, why else would you do it? It was so. I was like, and to me, I mean, dude, I'm a Philadelphia guy, but I just grew up a Giants fan, and I caught a lot of flack for it. And I hate to say, like, the fact that they're the ones that implemented this, it kind of has, like, a bad taste in my mouth as a fan, like, to a point, like, dang, do I really want to, continue to follow this team? Because I don't like it, and I saw it coming from the beginning. Now, in regards to the NBA and the NFL, like, the Rooney Rule, I like what the Rooneys did. Do I like the rule? Or I like the rule. I don't like how teams have used it, where they just go out there and they just, I got to interview a black coach today, knowing that they don't hire him. And
it hasn't been successful. I mean, if you look back over the last 33 head coach hires in the NFL, just 3 have been black. So you could put
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
So what is the NBA? What have you seen that Chauncey Billups came out this week and said the NBA is basically light years ahead of the NFL and the way they're doing it. What's the difference? Like, what have you seen in the NBA that's any different? Because we're going to have Coach Waters on later on, who's part of the NABC, to talk about whether or not whether things are different. And one of the things that he has suggested is, what's going to happen, and we're going to talk to him about this, what happens when you have ownership that doesn't look like America? The NBA isn't that much more diverse in its ownership than the NFL is.
But 7 of the 8 coaches hired last season were black.
Right. So my question to Keith is what is the NBA doing differently if it's not the ownership?
I think a lot of it came down to the timing of everything. Like, if you think about it, a lot of the NBA players, more so than NFL players, were very outspoken in regards to George Floyd and all that, Black Lives Matter, stuff like that, right? So, and then they also came out and they came out with this group that Doc Rivers about social justice, and then the ownership group, the owners start giving money to certain things. I mean, heck, if you go to a Sixers game, it's like they're promoting black businesses, right?
Mm-hmm.
Still, like, with the timing of everything and with the league, they're like, okay, well, we're trying to be more inclusive in regards to the coaching ranks. Look at what the players are doing, this and that. And I feel like it's like, okay, let's hire these minority coaches. Because if you think about it, a couple of years ago, the rhetoric was, well, how do you have a league where 80% of the players are black and then black coaches are getting fired? You know what I mean? Like, they're not getting opportunity. Or, like, you had Doc Rivers, you had a couple of them. You know what I mean? There was a time when they were saying, like, well, how come a guy like a Chauncey Billups won't get a job, but a Fred Hoiberg would? You understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
So then all of a sudden they just start making it. So I feel like the NBA saw what was going on, and they started embracing these coaches or giving them opportunities. And I think a lot of it was driven by what the players did, what the union did. Now you look at the NFL, and it's kind of sort of like, it's our game. You guys just play it, but it's our game. secondly, the one thing is that Chauncey Billups did say is, there still has to be, more minority people of color, in front offices, ownership groups, stuff like that. Because, you can be the coach, but when you look at some of these teams, how many coaches are, you have Monty Williams, right? But a lot of these guys are getting these jobs that they're struggling. They're there. They coach for a little bit, then they get fired. You know what I mean? But at the same time, I think for them to make a stride. Now, it's better than the NFL, but I would love to see more people of color, qualified people of color, in positions, where they can, make decisions as opposed to, just doing the X's and O's.
Yeah, well, we know that you have to go. We would love to talk about this with you all day, so we'll have you back. I'm sure that this isn't going away anytime soon, but I need you to confirm or deny a rumor, which is that you right now are in Dallas wearing cowboy shorts with a big star on your shirt right now.
Nah. Hey, look, I'm going to tell you this.
Rumor has it this is your favorite place to go because you're a closet Cowboys fan.
I mean, it's a good place to go because of the barbecue, but it took me 22 hours to get here.
Why?
You might want to use a different travel agent.
Yeah, it was just the snow. Like down here, dude, when it snows, it shuts down everything, man. It's crazy. It shuts down. You couldn't get to Dallas.
Are the snowflake, everything's bigger in Texas, so the snowflake's bigger too?
Look.
Let's just, I don't know, but they don't have our version of PennDOT here. I tell you that. It's crazy.
Well, look at that. Look at that. Keith with a big endorsement at PennDOT.
Look, if it took you 22 hours to get there, you better eat a lot of barbecue.
Bring some back.
Bring some back. Yeah. Safe travels on the road trip. See you when you get back here. Keith, always appreciate the time. Take care of yourself and follow him on @Pompey on Sixers. Read him in the Inquirer.
Just remember, Michigan State is a better football job these days.
Oh, man. I hope your flight back's 23 hours.
I love it. Have a good one, Keith. Take it easy.